Okay. So I just saw a car crash. That was pretty crazy. Yeah, I don't know what the hell was going on with it, but yeah, just there was a car. It should have made a turn, and it didn't. And a taxi was driving next to it thought it was going to make the turn, and when it didn't, it just hit it. And the craziest thing happened. After the car was hit, it drove away. The car that wasn't a taxi just sped away as fast as possible. And the taxi just honked and drove after it. And I was just standing there watching it. And I was so surprised that happened, that I just saw a hit and run happen just right in front of my very eyes as I was walking to do this. And it made me think about an argument that I had with somebody close to me earlier today. And maybe this is a bad analogy, but seeing a hit and run really does put things into perspective. Nobody was hurt, obviously. It was just a fender bender between two cars, but seeing that car drive away I thought was really shitty, especially because it was its fault for not turning. And I saw who was driving. It was just a woman, She was scared, probably. She didn't want to get in trouble. But, it was a nice car. She could afford to pay for the ticket, But she drove away. She left. And I think a lot of the time in arguments, we want to be right so bad, we want to be proven right. But I don't think that we really pay attention to what we're doing in order to get proven right. A way to win an argument with anybody is just to stab them in the face, right? It seems pretty stupid, but you could win whatever argument you wanted if you just killed the person you were talking to, but then you wouldn't have anybody to talk to, and you would probably go to jail, and you probably love the person in some capacity, and now you don't have them in your life anymore. And it's just I think we place too much emphasis on winning an argument. I definitely really wanted to win. I really wanted to be right. And I was saying stuff, I was emotional, yelling, the other person was too. But we were really just kind of sticking knives into each other's faces just in order to win the argument, win the battle. And it's for what? I read this book once called How to Win Friends and Influence People, and the first chapter you would think is about seeming cool or whatever, but it's actually a very simple message, which is basically just you can't win an argument. So it just strongly advises you to just never get in an argument with anybody, because basically what the book talks about is everybody is the hero of their own story. Everyone thinks that they are in the right all the time, pretty much. I mean, sometimes over time people realize that they were wrong and they change their ideas, but how often have you had an argument where the other person genuinely convinced you were wrong, and in that moment you changed and you were oh my god, I was totally wrong, you're totally right, and there was no residual anger at the person for that? That never happens to me. And maybe I'm just a really argumentative person. I definitely am passionate about things that I think I want to be right about stuff. But I'm really working on that, because the people that I like most in my life, for the most part, I've never had an argument with them. We've disagreed on something, but it hasn't really been an argument. It's been more we just kind of joke around, we just kind of kid, and it's just more chill. And those types of people, what I've noticed is I say something to them that could start an argument in a person who's more defensive. And instead of them taking offense and kind of turning it into a thing, they almost have fun with it. They kind of dance around the question and they're like, oh, okay, that sort of thing. Like, my friend is a YouTuber, and I don't know if he's watching this, but he's so funny and entertaining. Like, every time I talk to him, it's just so hilarious. Like, I'm always cracking up. And he makes gaming videos, and there's nothing wrong with gaming videos, but he makes videos about a game that not that many people know and not that many people are interested in. And I always feel like he has so much more to give than just that one game. And I say it over and over to him, that sort of thing. But we've never actually had an argument about it. And I think the reason why is because, one, like, it's his decision. Like, I'm not that passionate about it, but it's just like, it's advice that he can take or leave, and I don't really care, but it's his decision, and it's 100% his decision. So I think that, like, one way to avoid arguments, if you want to take a guy sitting on a sculpture's advice, is think about who has the control. Like, think about who decides what the outcome is. And if it's not you, understand that you don't really have a right to be argumentative to the person, and, like, ultimately they're just going to do whatever they want. Like, with my friend, like, I was never arguing with him, and I think the reason he took it so well is, like, it's 100% his choice what videos he wants to make. And, like, recently his channel's been blowing up, so, like, maybe I was completely wrong about that. But if we had an argument about it, like, if he was defensive and I was, like, doubling down, tripling down, like, I might not have been able to admit that, And so, why did I mention the car crash at the beginning of the video? Well, partially because this podcast is unscripted, but also partially because I think car crashes are a really good pattern interrupt. Like, so many people, I don't have the statistic in front of me, but so many people die in car crashes every day. And thank God that nobody died in the crash that I saw just, 2 minutes before I started recording this. But, like, you could just die. That could be it. Like, your story could just end. And I don't think somebody who has a lot of arguments with people, I'm talking about myself here because I do this. I don't think that somebody who has a lot of arguments with people, when it's like that moment, when, like, the car is going to crash into you, wishes that they had more arguments. You know what I mean? I think that there is a time and a place, and, like, I credit a lot of, like, my best successes in life to listening to people who were smarter than me disagree with what I was doing. So I think that there's a time and a place, but I think specifically there's a different energy when you want to hear what they have to say versus, like, when you're really, really trying to prove yourself. I think about, like, this in terms of, like, have you ever, like, witnessed two people arguing? Like, seen their posture, seen their, like, faces as they're arguing, like, in a street or, like, in Starbucks or something? They almost seem like they're, like, moving in a different way. Like, every single aspect of their body is changed, is charged. There's, like, more. It's like they're jerky. It's like it's scary. It's like they're zombies or something. And I remember a couple months ago, my sister and I went to a mall outside of our city, and we just, like, had a good time. We were just, like, chilling, like, got some food, and then we're, like, hanging out in the area. But I remember when we were walking back to my car, there was, like, a fight about to break out between these two big groups of teenagers. And I guess that they were, like, hood affiliated. I'm not 100% sure. But it was clear, like, one group was from one school and one was from another school. And there was, like, beef. Like, they were going to fight. And this kid was screaming at the top of his lungs, like, he was saying the N-word, but it was like, you N-words are going to find out. Like, you N-words are going to find out. And I just looked at my sister and I was like, it's time to go. So we, like, basically sprinted out of that mall. And when you're around people who want to argue, most of the time good things don't happen. I mean, occasionally somebody's point of view gets changed, and there are definitely points in my life where, like, I'm really happy that somebody argued against what I was doing because I was going down the wrong path. But in general, like, 99% of arguments, like, I gotta cut that shit out because it's stressful. It's just not worth it. And I worked so hard. I was so stressed out. Like, the argument like affected my video, and like my first video I'm really proud of that I did today, the streamer impressions video, that took a really long time, and that was really fun to just like go into each aspect of the streamer and like write it out and make sure that it was funny, and it was a lot of fun to do that. But then my second video, it was a video idea I've had for for like forever, but I always thought that it was like too stupid to actually do. But since I had no time and it made sense, I figured, why not? I'll just try it. And rewatching it back, I actually thought it was really funny. But if I hadn't had that argument with that person today, I probably would have made a better video. And you have to think about like what your mission is in life. Like, my mission is to make great videos for you guys because I want to one day be able to make billions of people happy through my free videos. And the only way to do that is intense focus, like being a pro athlete. I don't know this for sure. Like, maybe they do this a lot, but I would bet that like LeBron James and like Stephen Curry and Cristiano Ronaldo and Messi and like people like that, they probably don't have a ton of arguments in their everyday life. Probably the only people that they actually argue with are the refs of their games because they understand what's important. I don't think I've ever had a really beneficial argument with somebody about YouTube, even though it's something that I care so much about. Maybe it's just because I'm so happy to be around somebody who likes YouTube that like I'm more respectful, I listen better, things like that. But almost all the arguments I've had in my life, like, they're basically useless. It was just burn time. And I don't really have like a strategy or a tool for you guys to like use the next time you're in an argument. I used to be like really strategy and tool brained and like always think about like, oh, the next time this happens, I'll do this. I don't really have that, but just, I guess what I would say to you is like, try first to just recognize how many arguments you get in, because I get into a lot of arguments currently with the people that are in my life in general, and they just don't need to happen for the most part. And I know that, like, the change starts with me. Like, if I just stop engaging in that, I won't. And actually, that reminds me of something that my friend told me, my friend, the YouTube gamer. He said that, like, his family used to argue a lot and, like, have a lot of drama. But, like, he just wouldn't engage in that. He just, like, he was like, you'll all do your thing. Like, I'm just going to be over here. And I think that that's like really, really wise and really beautiful. So be more like my friend. Don't be like me. Thanks for watching. See you tomorrow. Love you.